Let's see. Hello, hello, hello. We are live. It is Wednesday. Respect My Perspective Live. Go ahead and check the title, baby, because we is talking about it today. We are talking about it today. So let's see here. I'm trying to make sure everything is set up. We are live. It is Wednesday. Respect My Perspective Live. Go ahead and check. Yeah, so we are live. Thank y'all for tuning in. Listen, today we talking about it. Accountability in decision making. And this is such a great topic. It's even more needed and worth having today simply because of all the trending topics that have occurred. And y'all know me, if you've been rocking with me, Be Better Bill, y'all know I am not one to talk about celebrity gossip, trending gossip, but with these trending topics that have come available within the past couple of weeks, there have been so much to just unpack around those trending topics. And so one of those is accountability in decision making. And this is very, very important because somebody said it in one of the trending topics about acknowledgement versus accountability. And if you've been following the trending topics, just give you a couple ideas of what to kind of frame your thought process around today's conversation. Think about the trending Monique topic, comedian Monique with her son, this viral TikTok Reesa Teesa with the pathological liar ex-husband, and I don't know why I'm so shiny. Jim, you want to come turn this light down a little bit for me? Um, but yeah, it's a lot to unpack around, just topics like there. And there are more, but this is what has my community in a frenzy. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's only fair to really just like not really focus on their situations and those people specifically, but really focus on the message. Like, what did I get out of that? What was missing? What was exposed? What left questions for me? You know what I'm saying? And so like it's respect my perspective, right? So I'm gonna talk about accountability in the decision making because, and it's not just them, we all do it. We love to acknowledge our wrongs. When we talk about growth, when we talk about, exhibiting growth and wanting to show, there is growth in acknowledgement. So don't want to take away from that fact. There is definitely growth in acknowledgement. However, a lot of people think it stops there because they are able to acknowledge their wrongdoing or how they've wronged someone or their faults and their flaws. They equate acknowledgement to taking accountability, and this was something that was pulled out of one of those topics. If you've watched them, then you know which one I'm talking about. But it's a very important discussion to have and really deep dive and just unpacked a lot of the gems that is hidden within that topic, because acknowledgement and accountability are not the same thing. It's not. And when it was said out loud on one of the videos, it really struck something in me, because when I was younger and when I was a hothead and when I was going through my growth stages, I had to realize that I was taking acknowledgement for my actions and for my wrongdoing. Did you cuss them out? Heck yeah, I did. Did you say this? Did you call them this name? Did you do these things? You absolutely I did. And because I had an excuse and because I had a why, I was able to feel good at that acknowledgement alone, which means I felt so good and the ego felt so strong and so comfortable that I didn't feel like there was no more work needed to be done. And it's really a sad reality that a lot of us stop there still to this day. And I want to just like really talk about it a little bit and just, grow your perspective, expand your perspective, and just I want to leave the question on your heart. Is what you do enough when you talk about acknowledgement and the level of accountability that you take for your flaws, your faults, your actions, your words? You know what I'm saying? Because A lot of people don't ask themselves that. And when you ask yourself, another question is, what makes it enough? What makes it enough? Who determines what enough is, right? And that is something that is also very confusing when we talk about relationships and we talk about cause and effect, and we talk about actions versus reaction. On one hand, we preach and we talk about, you don't get to tell somebody how long to sit in something. You don't get to tell somebody how many times they can bring up a situation or how you made them feel. But at the same regard, is what type of accountability is enough and what level of accountability is enough, right? And so this is where people start to quit. When we talk about relationships, when we talk about marriages, and we talk about, the word I'm sorry, the types of apologies, and oftentimes the person that has wronged or has made the wrongdoing possible, it's like they quit after that because they feel like that should be enough. They start to feel like they don't know what's enough or what will be good enough. And so in that regard, they shut down, they shut off, they stop. You know what I'm saying? So that's why this topic is important and why we talking about it tonight, because I really want to help somebody. I want to help somebody that has a desire to save a relationship, a desire to work things out. So this is my why. And if you're wondering, why am I talking about this? In hopes to help somebody understand the importance of accountability, what that looks like, and then establishing the boundary for you as to when you feel like you've done enough and why you are able to stand on that, right? Because listen, a lot of times some people really think the apology is good enough. And you just got to take my word that I'm never going to say it again or I'm never going to do it again. And when that's not accepted, it's like, oh, well, I'm not going to even try. Well, that is what we're going to talk about, right? So thank y'all for tuning in. If you're new to this page, I'm Alicia Nicole. I'm an accountability coach for life and relationships. I've been doing this. You feel me? So just stay along for the ride. If you're not able to stay on, I understand. You will be able to go back and watch this. You can just skim through to pick up where you left off, or you can just pick out, a different time and just pick out what you want to listen to. So this will be up and stay up for you to tune in to at a later time. Okay. So yeah, accountability in decision making, right? So first, let's talk about accountability real quick. So when we talk about accountability versus acknowledgement, accountability is not just acknowledging that you've done something wrong or that you've said the wrong thing or that you hurt someone's feelings. Accountability is correction. Is I'm acknowledging this and I'm making a conscious decision or a loud verbal decision about me changing my actions, how I'm going to do different, be different, say different if I'm put in the situation to do it again or to have a choice, right? And so that is where accountability comes into play. Like, are you conscious of your decisions enough to know where the fault lies, right? And so when going back to the beginning, when we talk about acknowledgement, when we talk about acknowledgement, a lot of people like to admit when they're wrong. Some people have no problem with that. Now, if you say this about 5 years ago, we still have some people to this day that they just can't admit when they wrong. Their excuses overweigh the actual right and wrong debate, right? Because they have a why and they responded or they adjusted accordingly. I'm gonna make sure I use all the phrases and things that people use today to justify why they're comfortable with stopping at acknowledgement. So some examples of someone said something to you that rubbed you the wrong way and you chose to go lower. Someone offended you and like the meme says, you go low, I go to hell. And then that's wrong. Now you're no longer the victim. Now you're no longer the one that needs the apology. Now you're the one that has to apologize for something. And it's like, well, I was just adjusting accordingly. I was just acting accordingly. I was matching energy. And when we talk about those things, it's like, just because you was matching energy, just because you was adjusting accordingly, just because you was acting accordingly doesn't make it right. It don't. It shows that you are willing to be just as wrong as they are, which makes you know better than they are. Hello, somebody. Like, let's talk about that again. Just because you're able to match someone's actions, words, everything of them does not make you right. What it does expose is that you are willing and capable and open and okay with being just like them, right? And when we start to really talk about that, when we start to really pay attention to that, it really starts to look at your character. You know what I'm saying? It like your character is now under the spotlight. It's now in full face value. It's no longer about what they did to you. It's no longer about what caused you to do this. It's the fact that when it gets out, when it gets to people, your circle, people are looking at you like, I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you said that. And yes, you may get the chuckles, you may get the outburst, the what? And what happened? And you did what? And it really, it adds fuel to your fire. It really gives you that adrenaline rush because you're looking at the facial expressions, you're looking at how they're responding, their body posture, their gestures, and then you're listening to their tone and you listening to them being so surprised, and they might have a laugh or something in between. And we will take those types of responses as if they are in agreement to what we did, in agreement to how we reacted. And honestly, a lot of times they're not. They're just surprised and shocked that you are the person, or a person that they thought would not do this or stoop to this level or get on this level. They're surprised that you would do that, which means they are now, whether you want to call it advertently or inadvertently, judging your character. Right? Right? And they have a decision to adjust accordingly. Y'all know that old saying about you don't have to touch the fire while it's hot? That's where that come from. People often adjust to us based off of the stories and experiences that we tell them. It's not necessarily the situation or the experience in itself. It's how did you handle that? It's what did you say? It's what did you do? And when you do things and say things that are so off base from the character that you have only portrayed to them, and it's so different, you are now being exposed. You've exposed yourself. And no, they don't have to tell you that they want to adjust. It will just happen. Because believe it or not, when things affect us to the point where we want to share with other people, depending on how much you dump on them, depending on how much you open up, if they're invested in your story, if they're invested in you because they have a relationship with you, they have a love for you, a lot of people carry your shit home. They think about and process what you said to them. Now, I say this because it's something that you would think everybody knows, but a lot of people don't think about it with everybody because we're so stuck into the whole they know me, they know me, they should know me, they should understand. However, you have to know and always ask yourself, do they know that part of you? How much of that part of you do they know? What am I exposing them to that they have not seen yet, that they have not experienced yet? And when you start having those types of conversations with yourself and asking yourself, you the time we kind of like, damn, I shouldn't have shared that with them. Dang, I overshared. I shouldn't have told her that. And it's easy to start. It's easy to pinpoint when you overshared, when you've told too much or shown too much of how you are with another person versus with them. right? And nowadays, a lot of people are doing self-help, they're doing coaching, they got therapists, they're actually listening to friends and family who have always been preaching them into a path of growth, and it's allowing them to grow and expand their mindset and question certain things about people in their lives, people in their circles, who they're engaging with, right? People are really starting to do the self-reflections, y'all. And it's important for us to remember that when we introduce situations and conversations and experiences with people, because on one hand you want to still be able to share in confidence, but you have to know your friends and know your circle, that when people are growing into different spaces and you notice like, okay, this is a sensitive topic for them, this may not be the right time to introduce them to an experience I had, because how I acted within that experience may be a trigger for them. How I showed my ass may make them feel like that I would do that to them, or I'm capable of doing that to them, right? And it can be a trigger. So it's important to to really keep that in your mind when you feel like you're ready to share and dump and just spill the tea, right? So when we talk about accountability and decision making, I'm gonna step on some toes tonight, and that's okay, because it's the message that you should pay attention to. If I'm not the messenger, I understand that, y'all. I everybody ain't always good to carry a certain message, but god damn it, if it's not me, then who? If you ain't getting it from me, who you getting it from? So just listen to the message. Just cover my face up. You ain't even got to worry about me, right? So when we talk about accountability in decision making, what I have noticed in experiences dealing with other people, coaching sessions, and a lot of different other scenarios is that when we start to talk about accountability after acknowledgement, so what are you prepared to do different? Would you do something different if you had a choice? What were your options at that moment, and why did you choose that particular option? Why did you press play on that? And we start understanding the why, right? This is when the conversation shifts. For conversations with me, this is when the conversation begins to shift with me, because now I'm asking questions that will expose a couple of things. It exposes how you feel about them at your core, at the root. It exposes how you feel about the situation, how important that situation was to you, why you didn't give a lot of thought, why you gave too much thought, right? We start to uncover and expose and discover hidden triggers. We start to uncover and expose um uh uh I lost my train of thought. We start like we expose the hidden triggers, but then we also start to expose grudges and the things that we've been holding on to about certain people, or about people that we're having these new experiences with, and why our actions are now more abrupt, or why there are a lot of conflict and confusion, right? And so when I start asking questions like that, it starts to expose a lot, right? Because when you think about a person that you care about. And I want you to think about, just pick one person that you care about. Somebody that on the surface, as soon as that person comes to your mind, you would say, I would never hurt that person. I would never intentionally hurt that person. Let's put intentional. I would never intentionally hurt that person, right? But then something happens and they hurt us and they hurt our feelings. Why did that go out the window? Why did the word intent go out the window? Because they hurt your feelings? But if them hurting you wasn't intentional, then why would you respond with intent to hurt? Right? So, and then when we talk about it after the fact, and we have to have these hard conversations, and we have to lay the cards on the table and say, you hurt my feelings. And I'm not sure how I feel about you now. I'm not sure if I want to move forward with you, if I want to keep you in my circle, if I want to stay in a relationship with you. What is your response to that? Are we responding with accountability, or are we responding with the excuse for why we did what we did? Right? That's a good question. Are we responding to that with accountability? And for example, I mean, I understand, I can see why you would make that decision. And I understand if you choose that route, and if you choose something different, if you choose to give me another try, if you choose to work this out with me, here are some things that I can tell you I would do different. Right? And these conversations aren't going to be lined up like this, right? It's not going to be a targeted conversation like this. You know how your conversations go with your friends, your significant other, and things of that nature. But generally, the foundational principle of what we're trying to get to, the solution, the result is the same. Because one thing that we always share is how we feeling and what we thinking about doing next. I'm not sure what's next. I don't even know if you're a part of what's next. I don't think nobody got a problem with explaining that part. The question is, what are we following up with? That is where accountability comes into play, right? So we talk about accountability and decision making. I'm going to shift the conversation just a little bit to paint a picture, okay? So when we talk about accountability and decision making in relationships, and I'm going to use the example of infidelity, cheating. And I'm not talking about cheating in terms of, oh, you slept with someone else. Let's talk about emotional cheating. Let's talk about the texting and the meeting up and the confiding in the opposite sex and things of that nature, right? When we talk about accountability and how that looks. One, accountability comes with action. Let's start there. We can all proclaim things. We can all say, I'm never going to do this again. You just have to trust me, this, that, and the third, right? But the only way that trust is going to be exercised, is going to be built, is if you are put in a similar situation or scenario in the future. And now you have a choice. And what came from that choice? What did you choose and how did you feel? Right? I think that's the part that people be missing from accountability. And when we talk about taking accountability in decision making. So when I think about someone, or when I think about a infidel and a cheater, and I think about people that make those statements, well, I'm just not gonna go out no more. Well, I'm just not going, I'm not going to this particular bar no more. I'm changing my ways. I'm gonna do things different, right? On one hand, you could say that's good. Okay, he or she is deciding no longer to hang out at this location, or go to these particular places where temptation is sitting and waiting on them, right? But you got to ask yourself, removing yourself doesn't actually test you, right? Now, true enough, temptation is everywhere. So I'm not saying that, oh, your temptation is only at the bar. Some people it is though, right? So when you remove yourself from those situations, for whether it's temporary or it's long term, when you remove yourself from those situations and those environments, you're also boundarying and censoring yourself to not be able to exercise your choice, right? Like they say, you got to go through it to get to it. So you can't run from it, is what I'm trying to say, y'all. You can't run from it. You can't sit here and say, well, I'm just not going to go there no more. Okay, you don't go there no more. And now they saw you at the gas station. Now they work with you. Now you're at a house party or a barbecue, and somebody or the same type of situation introduces itself. Doesn't have to be a particular person, but that same scenario, that same situation and experience has now met you somewhere else. What, you gonna not go to barbecues? You gonna not go to, kickbacks and gatherings? Like, I'm saying all this to say is that you're still gonna be given a choice at the end of the day. So when you say that you're gonna remove yourself rather than do the work and deny yourself, you're running from that accountability. All you did was acknowledge that you was wrong. I'm gonna escape having to do the work because I'm just not gonna go. So we ain't going to kickbacks. We ain't going to friends, birthday parties. We're not doing none of that because you're gonna always be somewhere you don't know somebody. Right. And I'm using this as an example of how people escape accountability, how they escape the option of choice. Right. And then you wonder why it's been 6 months and your significant other still don't trust you. You wonder why it's been 6 months and y'all still in the same place from when you got caught. It's not that your significant other is just hanging this over your head like a mistletoe. It's not because they're just so insecure now that it doesn't matter what you do, you can't please them. It's not just that. You haven't given them or shown them why they should again. You haven't been tested to show that you choose to do something different. That's what's missing. Right? So when we talk about it, when we talk about, just uncovering like the deep layers of accountability and how deep does it go, baby, there is action tied to accountability. We can declare and decree and proclaim, but you are going to always be tested. And there is no such thing of, well, I ain't gonna say that. I ain't gonna say no such thing. You ain't always just gonna be, I'm just not gonna tell it. I'm just not gonna mention. Listen, folks, y'all know how small the world is. You can go to that kickback, you can go to that barbecue, and your significant other may not be there. And she asks you how it's going. He say, well, how did it go? Oh, it went good. Well, what happened? Did anything fun, interesting happen? No, ain't nothing happened. We just kicked it and chill. And then you dumbed it down and you left it right there. And then they hear about it at work. They hear how, the person that you got caught messaging and sexting and all these things was at that same kickback. But when they asked you how it was, you led with nothing. You led with, oh, nothing happened. That was a decision. That was a decision. You chose to not share. It was great. Somebody was there. That person came. But what happened? What took place? How did that look? Like, paint the picture for them, because they clearly was not there with you, right? Because you want to show them and explain to them that you chose to do something different. Now, for the people that are not mature enough, they can't swim at this level of depthness, a lot of people will take this as, oh, I'm not finna run down my every move. I'm not finna be telling her every move or who all was there. But you would do it if you was just gossiping, if you was pillow talking, baby. We went to the bar. You'll do it if it wasn't your situation. You would do it if homeboy Timmy got caught up and and his girlfriend Sasha pulled up to the party, and baby, dude wasn't even doing nothing. He was sitting there chilling. Sasha came up and just spazzed out because Tiffany was there. Him and Tiffany ain't spoke all night. Him and Tiffany didn't say 2 words to each other. You would do it when you pillow talking. So if you are able to share other people's exposures and situations, why do you feel like that you don't owe your woman the same courtesy to tell her what you went through, what you did? That's important, right? Right? Isn't it? Or is it just me? Am I tripping? It might just be me. But that's important when you're talking about, how can I rebuild this trust? How can I use accountability as a resourceful tool? How can I say, I know you're not here because I don't expect you to follow me or be my shadow in every single event or situation. So how do I share with you and show you and explain to you that I chose something different, that this happened and nothing happened, that this occurred and nothing came from it, that somebody approached me and I was able to turn them down, and this is how I did it, to give them, to offer reassurance through your explanation, right? Right now, you know your significant other, you know if that's a conversation that y'all can have or not, right? Because I'm fully aware that everybody is not in a relationship or have a significant other where they can have those conversations and it doesn't lead to a deeper insecurity. How I know you telling the truth? How I know you just not giving me this, that, and the third? Well, baby, if y'all having them type of conversations, y'all need to come see me, because y'all doing too many steps too fast, and y'all got to go back to the beginning of the basics, right? Y'all starting somewhere in the middle, and y'all need to come back down here, right? Because, or yeah, right. Like sometimes you got to recognize and call that out. If you're able to recognize that your partner is not a person that you can have these type of mature conversations with, then it's going to be very hard to navigate that. And it's not hard when you have a coach who can explain and give you strategies of how to meet a person where they are. And that's all that it is. It's not that it's impossible. It's not that they're unwilling to listen. It's that you're speaking at a frequency that's higher than their understanding. Does that make sense? So when we talk about decision making and accountability in decision making, it is critical that you really, like, you got to ask yourself more questions than just is this right or wrong, right? Is this right or wrong? Some people can stop there. It's wrong, but how do I explain this? I did the right thing, but how do I explain this? Right. And so I got a lot of thoughts in my mind, and I hope y'all can see my eyes, things just be firing at me, right? But when we talk about this and we talk about certain situations and scenarios with relationships, a lot of people are making decisions and we expect that to be the end all be all. Why I made this decision, I'm gonna stand on business. I'm gonna stand on it, regardless of the consequences. That's great. That's great. But a lot of people contradicting themselves, y'all. A lot of people ain't standing on business for long. They be standing on it, but only but like 2.5 seconds, and then they don't like what that feels like. I need y'all to understand that standing on business, it's not an easy task. Standing on business, it's not, it is uncomfortable as fuck. It's uncomfortable. Because just because you standing on business does not mean your significant other is not gonna respond, is not gonna react, is not going to adjust. And usually when those adjustments happen, when those changes are made, it's like, oh no, I don't like this. All this is happening because I'm standing on business. Okay, now let me apologize. Let me come up off my egotistical throne. Let me come off my pride, and let's talk about this. You see how easy it is to get away from standing on business? Standing on business is when it, like, regardless of the consequences and repercussion, I'm going to stand on what I said, what I did, and how I did it. That's uncomfortable when you are still choosing and hoping that that person still chooses you. And to be honest, there is nothing more disrespectful than someone making a decision that is going to negatively impact somebody else, choosing to stand on business while having the audacity to expect them to stay right there in it. What was that? Oh. But so, like, that's my thing. So when we think about like these trending topics and the things that have happened over the course of the weeks, that's got a lot of people in the frenzies. And when I think about just the first trending topic, one of the things, like, people will say, I acknowledge that I was not this great of a friend to you. I acknowledge that I wasn't there for you when you needed me, and I know that you needed me. Thank you for acknowledging that. Thank you for acknowledging that. Okay, so when we talk about accountability, what does that look like next? The problem is a lot of people don't know what's next. That is what makes this thing so confusing. A lot of people don't know what's next or what to expect or what the standards is. It comes from you, y'all. It comes from you, right? It's like they say, it takes two to tango. Now, some situations you can acknowledge, you can take accountability, and you can lead with what I'm willing to do and what I'm willing to not do again and things of that. But the other part to accountability and actions in that is listening and being receptive to what the boundaries are moving forward, what the requirements are moving forward, right? And that comes acceptance or rejection, right? Okay. Okay. Now, for this other trending topic, listen, it was so much to unpack from that. But what I learned most, outside of, you saw my last video about patience being a virtue, what I listened to and what I was listening for was, I saw a lot of acknowledgement of, I knew I was accepting his lies. I knew that he was lying, but yet I still moved forward. Yet I still kept going. Okay. And then in turn, you gained sympathy, you gained empathy, and you lost. Everybody stopped looking at you. Everybody stopped looking at you, and everybody want to focus on the liar, right? A liar's gonna lie. A liar's gonna be. If you sit on my couch and you sit in my sessions in Zoom, this is all about you, right? So when you acknowledge and admit that you knew somebody was lying to you, not only did you know it from your gut, you caught them up in the lie. You, like, there was a decision being made not to expose. There was a decision being made not to call out. There was a decision being made not to have a conversation, make the changes, make the adjustment. Let's stop what we're doing. Right? There was a decision being made to keep going, to keep going, to keep going with no hopes for nothing. That's what I was listening for, y'all. That's what was being exposed to me. It's one thing to keep going with a strategy or a hope. I'm going because there is work to be done. I'm still going because I want to give them a choice later down the line to see if they're going to do something different. And then they don't. So now I got to do something. What I heard was, I kept going with no plan. I kept going with no hopes of nothing changing. I kept going and accepting lies. Lies that I knew, lies that I found, lie like that's a decision. That's a decision. And you have to take accountability of when you can sit here and say, I knew 2 months ago. I knew yesterday. I knew this. Okay, the question then is, why not? Why didn't you? Why did you stay? Why did you not say something? Why did nothing come from that? That's the question. That's the real question. And that is where accountability is going to come in, because a liar going to lie. Yeah, that person's wrong. But you choosing to go along with the lies don't make you any more of a victim. It don't make you look like a damsel after so long. At this point, y'all, he lied, you listen. Like, At this point, it's like there's no, it's not that there's no consequence. Like at this point, you're entertained by the lies. At this point, I think the word was used was numb. Was numb. I was so numb to the antics and the lies. And I said to myself, for a person that has prayed for a relationship, that has been tired of waiting, has claimed to have done the work and wondering when is it their time? When is their time going to be? You mean to tell me that you waited this long to do that? You waited this long to accept that, right? Where was the liberation of this ain't for me. This ain't what I waited for. This is not what I had in mind. This was not what I expected, nor what I asked for. There is accountability in decision making. But what happens is when we've been violated, so when the violation is so grand, when the wrongdoing is so much of a movie, we start to overlook and just forget about the people that literally keep walking into it, right? As if there's no choice. Now, you can't say that, oh, well, she didn't have a choice. She made one to get out. She made a choice. It just took her a year and a half to make it. But she made the same choice. She could have made that choice 6 months ago. She could have made that choice a long time ago, right? And before we get into all the people that will go into this and say, oh, this is victim blaming, this is victim blaming, this is not victim blaming. This is accountability for the decision makings. There is a difference in being a victim when you cannot get out of something, i.e. domestic violence and things of that nature. When you cannot get out of something because it is detrimental to your safety, none of that is mentioned in that trending topic. So I want to make sure we're clear on separating those two things when we start to put people in victimization categories, right? So when we talk about making decisions and accountability, like accountability and decision making, these are conscious decisions that is being made to continue to go along with, knowing that this is not what your heart desire in the first place. So not only does the person that wronged you have to be held accountable, do you think because they were the one that was on the side of wrong that no accountability falls to you? You have an accountability and responsibility to yourself first. That's the message. That's the message. You have a responsibility to yourself first before you can hold anybody else accountable. Right? So when we talk about that and we want to like put it out there and we want to be like, oh, but he did this and he did that. Yes, people will go through lengths to tell a lie. It's been to the end of time. What did grandmama and them say? If you tell one lie, you got to tell 10 more to keep that other one straight. Some people are willing to go to wits end to keeping them lies alive. Their lies and how they lie and the lies they use. I ain't gonna say that. Let me take that back. We're gonna scratch that part because I've been shook up. Somebody been and watch this. By the time this goes somewhere, be like, wait, what she say? I ain't gonna say that. I'm gonna wait for that. But when we talk about this, y'all, it's very important to understand that regardless of the flaws and the faults of the other person, we have a responsibility to hold ourselves accountable with our decision making. What are we allowing to fly? Why are we not making the adjustments? Why are we not pulling back? Why? Why? And if your answer has anything to do with, well, I just want somebody to love me, is that love? Is it? Is it? I just don't want to be alone. Baby, you need a coach. You need to go find comfort in other departments and areas that can make you whole and solidify you in other spaces, right? Because all I hear is excuses. I knew somebody was lying to me and I stayed anyway because I was just waiting for it to be my turn. Baby, waiting on what to be your turn? Baby, we deal with liars every day. People getting broke up with every day. So when you say waiting on it to be your turn, I'm still trying to figure out what exactly was you waiting on because baby, you wanted somebody to lie to you. You could have called a hotline for that. I don't hear no accountability. I don't hear no accountability in the decision making in terms of what were you waiting for? The whole purpose of this message today, y'all, is for us to really think about our decisions before and after. Before and after, because that is how we make better decisions. People say, I want to learn, I gotta make better decisions. Baby, there is work to making better decisions. One, we gotta get our impulses out the way. We have to stop feeding our flesh. We have to stop being pleased in small areas that are only temporary. And the things that we desire the most are the ones that's getting shot to hell. The things that we desire the most are the ones that's getting shot to hell. I remember I remember one thing that I had seen somebody say was that she just couldn't wait to be married. That means she had an image for herself. That means she had an imagination. She had an idea of what her marriage and proposal would look like. And then she explained how he proposed. He just threw the ring on the table. You mean to tell me that the desires of your heart look like that? It felt like that. That's why finding somebody, going to therapy, finding a coach can help you unpack certain things that are buried within these desires because your desires are entangled with things that you are just willing to accept. When I say so for those of y'all that don't know, I've been married for going on 9 years. We went to the courthouse when we got married. But ask me, have I always envisioned and thought about what my proposal or what my wedding would look like? Absolutely. Am I gonna get exactly that? Probably not exactly. But am I gonna get something or accept something that is completely below a standard or disregard to the desires of my heart? Hell no. I don't know. No. Because I have to think about a responsibility to myself. Why would I accept something and still long for it in the same breath? Oh, Jesus. Lord, a lot of us are doing that. A lot of us are accepting love and still longing for it. How, Sway? Houseway, you got to take accountability for making the decision to accept that. When you accepted that and you went to sleep on it and you laid on it 2 weeks later, you like, damn, I'm still longing for love. I'm still longing for a specific type of connection. I'm still missing something. It's time to rewind. It's time to back it up. It's time to pause. It's time to stop. It's time to assess and evaluate that thing. How can I sit here and say, I got something and I'm still longing for it and it still feels like it's missing? That is what I was listening to when I watched some of that series. When I watched some of those trending topics and videos. It's yeah. So if you are that person or a person who in one breath can say, I got what I need, I got what I want, but you go to bed and you wake up and you still feel that those certain things are still missing from you, come see me. Come see me. Let's unpack it. Let's discover. Let's expose, because you should not be longing for what you claim to have. That's a word. That's a word. I'm sorry. You should not be longing for what you claim to have. Do you have marriage? You absolutely have that. That's a piece of paper. You married. You got that. Do you have partnership? Do you have full partnership? Now, one thing that I will speak to when we talk about accountability and decision making, if you ever come sit with me and you want to have this same discussion about your situation, we're going to unpack what means the most to you, what is prioritized in your life. And this is important because when people start to prioritize certain categories in their lives, this is when you start to understand what you're willing to accept. What we don't do is reevaluate that. Our priorities change all the time. And so a lot of times people will say, "Well, I got this, now I need this, but if I go after this, if I start searching for that thing, I can lose this again." You need to come see somebody. You need to come see me, because then I'm going to ask you, like, this is when we start talking about priorities and what really means the most to you. What means the most to you? Where are your desires leaning towards? What is missing? What did you get in one relationship or in this relationship in the beginning that you didn't get, that you was hoping to get to, that you haven't discovered yet? Y'all haven't even scratched the surface of yet. And now your well is running dry. You're empty inside because you are longing for something that you willingly accepted to not have because you needed this more. Does that make sense? That changes all the time. And what you want to have, what type of conversations that you want to have with your partner, is teaching and learning how to be adjustable, right? In the relationship. Like, it shouldn't take a breakup, or it shouldn't take a break or a separation to make the adjustment. Being adjustable to say, "Baby, I know you've been feeling me up here. I don't need so much of this. I need you to start pouring in me here." Right? This is important to me now. This is a requirement for me now. And I need to be honest to say, not give an ultimatum, not to threaten, but I need to be honest with you to tell you that if I don't start getting this soon, it's going to change the way I view the relationship. It's going to force me to go in survival mode. It's going to force me to go into a space to feel okay that I'm missing that. That means my shell can get harder. That means I can start looking disconnected or seem disengaged. Like, what does that look like for you now that you are thirsty for this? Now that you are longing for this? That's important. These are the type of discussions when we talk about, "Oh, we've been in a relationship for a year, we've been in a relationship for 2 years, we running out of things," like, or just 6 months, we running out of things to talk about. Baby, if you running out of things to talk about, Lord Jesus, oh, wait, if you running out of things to discuss, things to explore, things to talk about, then somebody can't swim at a certain depth. Somebody can't go deep enough. Yeah. Yeah. Because there's always something to explore and have a conversation about, hypotheticals, anything that will give you insight to a person's mind or unlock their mind, expand their mind. You may hear your significant other say, "I never thought about that before. Let me think about that. Like, I ain't never had somebody ask me that before." And now they got to actually do the work and think about, what does that look like for Alicia? What do I want from that? How does that look? Right? Right? But going back to the topic at hand, we talk about accountability in decision making. You have to know that regardless if you are on the side of the and I'm not saying wrong, but if you are on the side of the actions, you are receiving the actions, right? What you do next, you still got to be held accountable for. Like you should still hold yourself accountable, right? I'm gonna give y'all some personal examples for me, just so I can, drive this on home, and then we gonna go to the comments and stuff like that. But for me, holding myself accountable to my decision making, there's been some decisions that I've had to make in the past 6 months. When we talk about relationships and we talk about friendships and we talk about things of that nature, and holding myself accountable for my actions or lack of my actions, right? And understanding not just only why I did what I did, but I'm holding myself accountable in how I'm going to do different in my next friendships or the next people I encounter, right? But you have to start taking accountability for your actions, right? And so that was something that I had to do, take accountability for my decision making. Because I know that once I make this decision, it's just like you call it checkers or chess or whatever. It's no different than a board game. I made a decision. That means I moved a piece. And now, once that person realizes that I made a decision about how I'm going to move forward in this friendship or how I'm going to move forward in this situation, it's now their turn to move. It's now their turn to play. So, are they going to reach out? Are they going to respond? Are they going to apologize? Are they going to call me out and say, why are you being this way? Why are you doing this? But it's now their turn. Or it's their turn, or they can say, like a board game, I pass. I pass my turn. I don't want to go. Right? What do I do now? I acknowledge that this is what I'm going to do. I've accepted my actions. I've accepted their actions. Accountability, when we talk about standing on business, is being okay with their move. That's truly standing on business, right? Because what happens is, and I want to paint this picture. What happens is when that person makes their move or decides to not make a move at all, I have a choice. I can get upset and I can call them. Why you ain't called me? Why you ain't tried to find out what's wrong with me? Why you ain't tried to figure out why I'm not calling? Then I got to hold myself accountable and say, because they're going to ask, well, why haven't you? Why didn't you? Am I going to make an excuse or give an excuse? Or am I going to stand on it? Because if I stood on it, I wouldn't even be having a conversation. Just saying. Just saying. Let's see. I got some comments. Hold up. Hold up. Going back a little bit. It's like they got an agreement. You lie and I listen. Oh, you repeat me. Lying ain't love. Listen. Listen. Lying ain't love. Lying ain't love. Ain't nothing wrong with the image, but there's something definitely wrong with them being desperate to fulfill that image. That's the thing. Nothing's wrong with the image that we have for ourselves. It's like you said, it's the desperation to fulfill that image. That desperation can cloud our judgment so much so that we are willing to accept things that we would not accept if we were whole, if we were full, if we were not reaching and needing another person to fulfill that. Does that make sense? If we were not reaching and hoping that another person could fulfill that, That's it. A lot of us are accepting love and still out and longing for it. That's really the truth. And that's where accountability comes in at though. You can't sit here and say you got something and still long for it. You can't. That's a what is that a that's an oxymoron or what is that what that analogy is? What I don't know if I'm using it right. That's an oxymoron. That's a real big ass contradiction. Baby, I got love. And I think what now that I say that out loud and I'm repeating, I'm saying it as if I'm someone else. A lot of people will say they got love, but do you love? Hello. Hello. A lot of folks can literally call out and say, "I got love." I made a post was it for my birthday or Valentine's Day, and I said something about my husband. I was like, "I know that man loved me." That's something I ain't never had to question. So, do I have love? Absolutely. But if you're still longing for it, the question is, do you love? See, when we long for things, we got to figure out what it is that we're longing for, what it is that we're missing. Because a lot of us can declare that we're receiving love. We got family love, we got friends love. Those are different types of love. And then we get relationships, and it's like, yeah, he loved me, he loved me. But then you still looking for it. You still looking for it. So if you know that person loves you, what you're looking for is you're looking to love. You're looking to exhibit a certain type of love that you're unable or incapable of giving to that person that loves you. Right? So accountability in the decision making that you are somewhere with someone making decisions based off of what? Is it survival or is it desperation? It's one of them. And there may be a third one that you can pick from, but I don't know that one yet. But right now, the two things that come to mind is it survival or is it desperation? But I need you to answer that if you were talking to me and we were in a session, answering that holds you accountable. Right? That's where that comes into play. But there is definitely a difference. It's a thin line, but there is definitely a difference between acknowledgement and accountability and being held accountable to your actions. Right? So I just want y'all to like really ponder on that. If you're still, if y'all are invested into a lot of topics and trending topics that are going on right now, like ask yourself, what are you listening to? What are you listening to? Like the topics and the stories are entertaining for sure. I am one to say, baby, I was invested. However, once I got out of the entertainment ear and I started listening to the maturity, the mindset, and I was listening and I was like, she thinks she a victim. She thinks she a victim. She was, but she walked clean out of being a victim to a pathological liar when she just said, yeah, I knew that nigga was lying and I just kept letting him lie. Okay then. Okay then, girl. Okay then. Yeah. You got to be held accountable for that. Like you can't scapegoat that because the story sounds so good, because the story sounds so bad. Like somebody wronging you don't mean that you get to do things and not be held accountable. Like they say, there's a reaction for every action, right? So, okay, somebody out here just lying to you on a daily. Does that give you a right to go cheat? Right? So I'm gonna change. I'm gonna give you different analogies and scenarios. Somebody being a pathological liar gives you a right to go cheat. It's like no, like why? What? That makes you equally wrong, right? Okay, so same thing. Somebody being a pathological liar and you knowing that they lie, you didn't cheat. You just decide to keep like I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna just keep going. I'm trying. One question I did have Why she ain't start lying back? I would have lied and told that nigga I hit the lottery. Like, had that nigga waiting on some money he ain't never gonna get. Like, I'm just trying to understand, like, what was the purpose of waiting for nothing? If you watched any part of that series, she never tells you what she was waiting for. What was she waiting for? After she's exposed and uncovered everything time and time again, what exactly was she waiting for? Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's a good one. But anyway, I really hope y'all have enjoyed this session, have enjoyed this topic, and understanding that acknowledgement and accountability, they're different. They're different. And then also I hope this puts in your mind going forward to really think about your decisions before and after. Before and after. Are you okay with what happens next? Are you okay with the consequences and repercussions of those decisions? Are you okay with it? If you're not okay with what happens or what could happen after you've made a decision, then that is a key indicator that you need to reevaluate and come up with some more options. Yeah, I'm not the easiest person to talk to. I'm very easy to talk to. I'm just not the person to get over on with. Because the goal is to make you better, y'all. The goal is to be better and really get better. That's the goal. That's the goal. We talk about growth. Everybody talk about growing. Ain't nobody. Everybody talking about they just. I'm not the same person I used to be and who I once was. Yeah, you might have a different lifestyle. You might be living a little different. You might have a new circle, new crew. You might got some new clothes, got a little money. But if your decision making the same, mm, 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 mm. And yeah, people will say, well, they decisions got to be different if they got all that different. Those are materialistic things. We're talking about growth mindset. We're talking about making decisions and standing on them, not having to backtrack, not having to make excuses, not having to, be the one that's wronged and now I'm the one that's got to apologize. Those types of decisions. One of my biggest goals, if you ask me what's my current consistent goal, is that when I am a person that has been wronged and someone has done wrong by me, I immediately think about my decisions. Am I going to have to be the one to apologize? Because I shouldn't. And my actions and my decision making will ultimately put me in one of those slots, whether I'm going to be the person that now I got to apologize, or I'm going to be the person to make a decision and we just going to leave that where it's at. If we move past this, it will be because we rectified the situation. And it ain't going to end with me having to apologize because I know I did nothing wrong. Mhm. So yeah, really hope y'all like this. Please tell somebody about the page. Tell somebody about the lives every Wednesday, 7 p.m. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Instagram. So if somebody's not able to use their phones, they can pull this up on their YouTube and watch Wednesdays at 7. All they gotta type in is Be Better Build or Alicia Nicole, Coach Alicia Nicole. Yeah, yeah. YouTube, Instagram, and I will be TikTok is about to go up and about to go live. I'm already on TikTok. I do a lot of workout, athletic fitness, things of that nature, but it's time to bring this to that platform too, because that's a platform where everyone's always watching. Everyone's always watching. And they are wanting to hear what people have to say. So yeah, I'm about to go shake the table over there a little bit, see what happens. So yeah, y'all stay tuned. I'll see y'all tomorrow. It's Thursday. Please prepare your hearts and mind for your day tomorrow. Please think about your decisions that you know you have to make tomorrow. And if you're gonna stand on business, understand standing on business is holding yourself accountable. Period. See y'all tomorrow.